Preparing to live stream.
Hey, it worked.
There we go.
Okay, I'm gonna leave now and tell Kelly if something goes wrong when I leave, then Teams me. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, am I coming in better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it must be having internet issues. I just moved closer to the router, so.
Let's see. I think Elaine said she wasn't going to be able to make it either tonight. Double check my email real quick. Sure, that's what I remember. Yeah, Elaine said she wasn't going to be able to make it tonight either. So that would leave us with 6 of 9 if everyone is here, everyone else.
So Galen is out.
Did Galen say that she?
I just saw that email from her about the grants today. I didn't hear anything that she wasn't going to be able to be here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's planning on being here.
Okay.
I hadn't heard that she wouldn't be.
Everybody's trying to be fashionably late.
Something like that. But still, there's 14 of us right now and online. Let's see, Joanna Fields, if you could add the name of the organization after your name. Irene, you can add Travel Salem after yours. Here comes Laura Tesler. Oh, and there's Galen and Denise and Yvonne. Leilani. Jonathan is the only one we're missing so far, it looks like.
Not right now.
All right. Just a reminder for those that just signed on to add the organization that you're representing after your first and last name.
How do I change that?
When you
Hang on.
there's a more button and it'll ask, you can click on the rename, or we can do that for you if you need help with that.
Well, my name is Leilani Tucker and I'm with Englewood Forest Festival.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead and Leilani. You're coming in. Okay. And I saw Jonathan come in. So I believe we now have a quorum. So looks like we can.
Yeah, let's go ahead and call to order and do roll call.
Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. This is Chris Snyder from the City of Salem. I'm the staff liaison for the Salem Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board. Tonight is January 12th, 2021. Welcome to a new year. All right. And the time is 6:04 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started with the roll call. Scott Snyder.
Here.
Rita Song is absent today. Ethan Baker. Jonathan?
Yes, I'm here.
Good, awesome. Galen McAllister?
Present.
Awesome. Elaine Navarro? I don't remember seeing Elaine. Elaine was going to be absent, that's right, sorry. Elaine's absent. Laura Tessler?
Present.
Awesome. Ryan Gale?
Here.
Omar Alvarado is absent tonight as well. And then Felipe Gonzalez.
Here.
All right. And that should give us 6 of 9.
All right, very good. Well, thank you everybody for being in attendance. And so if we can do our first item on our agenda for approval of today's agenda, as well as the minutes from our December 8th meeting. If I can get a motion and a second, and then any corrections or comments.
So moved.
Thank you, Laura.
Second.
All right. And Ryan, any comments or corrections for the agenda or the minutes from last meeting? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Very good. Public testimony, again, this would be limited to 3 minutes per organization pertaining to items on the agenda. Would any of our applicants or others care to comment at this time? All right, so let's get right down to our action items. We've got Travel Salem here. They are Angie is going to be giving a very high level view of the annual report. I think everybody had a chance to look at the full report in the email that Chris sent. So if you do have more questions, I think that'll be covered there. But Chris also asked Angie and her team to talk to our partners, our cultural operators, to help give insight to things that Travel Salem sees for 2021 with all of their peers in the travel promotion marketing business. So Angie, please go ahead and take it away.
Okay, good evening. This is Angie Oniwuchi, President and CEO of Travel Salem. Want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Am I coming across okay?
Yes.
Okay, super. So the first part of tonight's conversation is going to be around our annual report. So I'm going to launch right in. I'm going to do a high-level overview of this report as the report was sent out in advance, and I hope you had a chance to review it. I would entertain any questions you'd have as I go through this or at the end, whatever you choose. So Travel Salem is evaluated on 3 key performance measurements. The first one is estimated economic impact. You can see here that in 2019, about $638 million of economic impact from tourism was realized in Marion and Polk counties. The number is maybe not quite as important as the trend. So if you want to take a look at the trend over the years since 2006, it's been an upward trend. And that's really what we're focusing on, is driving more impact into the local communities that we serve. The economic impact is made up of 2 components: day travel and overnight travel. Day travel does account for about 60% of that $638 million. One example of how the economic impact is formulated, I wanted to give an example through Marion County visitor stats. So a little bit over roughly 2.1 million overnight visitors in 2019. An average of 2.6 people per travel party and spending about $143 per day, staying about 2.7 nights. So that's what's really driving the economic impact numbers before you right now. The second key performance measurement is transient occupancy tax, also known as TOT. And you can see that in 2019, the TOT was down about 13% over prior year. That was obviously due to impacts from COVID. One of the things I wanted to dissect with you for a second here is what actually drives the TOT. It's really a combination of the number of rooms sold and the rates that are charged. And so breaking that out for you a little bit here, you can see that the average daily rate was down about 5% over prior year. The revenue per available room, also known as RevPAR, was down 15% over prior year. And occupancy, the number of rooms actually sold, was down 16%. So all of those negative trends there did impact what we saw as the overall decrease in TOT funds. The third key performance measurement is leverage, which are donated products and services that we secure to do what we do to leverage the cash that we have. And you can see that that was also down in 2019-20 to $2.65 million. This chart on the right here breaks out what types of donated products and services make up that number. The largest component is our media, which is the public relation efforts that we do to secure free coverage for our market in publications and broadcast media across the country. And you can see that WAVA makes up the other large component, and that's the Willamette Valley Visitors Association that we partner with. And Irene Bernard serves on their board of directors representing our region. So that's how that makes up there. Now, most of the statistics I'm going to show you tonight are down. That's because of COVID, so I'm not going to continue to say that, but that's an overarching theme. In 2019-20, when COVID hit, we launched a recovery plan, and I wanted to update you on some of the things that we were able to accomplish during the year. We pivoted all of our consumer messaging to focus on an inspirational platform for future travel. Since folks have not been able to really move around or come visit the destination, we really needed to stay in the pocket for promoting the destination and inspiring folks to want to travel when it's safe to do so. We launched a Miss You Already campaign that was consumer focused. That's this banner up here that was well received by consumers, just saying that our destination will be ready when they are. We did not want the destination to go dark during COVID, and so we've been really working on different strategies to ensure that those messages are getting out there. We did launch an outreach program to reach and engage with our residents. We've been working through the 18 Salem neighborhood associations to do that, working with local itineraries, promoting those out to our residents, doing sentiment surveys. How do they feel about our market opening back up? And doing some tourism presentations with them too. And then our virtual visitor center, which we promoted out to 7,000 consumers who had made prior inquiries about our market before. In addition, we created the Salem Strong ad that's currently running on the Huggins billboard in downtown. We created 4 virtual 360 video experiences, one for Deepwood, the Oregon Gardens, Wooden Shoe Tuba Festival, and the Gaiety Hollow. We created a leveling up communications to communicate with our stakeholders throughout the industry about updates by sector on how they're responding to the pandemic and specific, how they're handling their staffing, PPE and things like that. And then we created a Salem anthem video, and I'd like to show that to you for a second here, if I can get out of that.
The world has finally discovered the wonders of Oregon, where rolling hills and lush landscapes are paradise. Art comes to life on center stage or in the middle of the sidewalk, and where angry or happy skies are part of our intrigue and character. Where creeks are opal, waterfalls are silver, pioneers are gold, and the state's capital is named for peace. Salem and the Mid-Willamette Valley is a welcoming place, home to historians who unearth tales of the underground, and farmers who open their fields to anyone who wants to visit. Where you can meet the brewmasters, chefs, crafters and creators, strong and spirited entrepreneurs who delight in sharing the fruits of their labor. Recently, the strength and resiliency of our community has been tested like never before, and we've accepted the challenge. To the chefs, shopkeepers, winemakers, and performers using their pioneering spirit to give lift to our region, we say thank you. To everyone who is helping out, digging in, building up, and moving forward, we raise a glass in your honor. We will come out of this stronger than before. And when the world is ready to explore again, we'll be here. Salem and the Mid-Willamette Valley, the most Oregon part of Oregon.
So the reason I wanted to spend a second on sharing that video with you is that we've been put actually quite a bit of muscle behind promoting that video out, really trying to be positive about our market and sharing sort of the blessings and wonderful things to do in our area in a COVID sensitive manner. That video was produced 100% in-house, and we continue to use it to promote our destination. Our visitor information network, which are our visitor centers, about 200,000 visitors came through that network last year. Our visitor center is focused on lengthening the stay. That's how we drive economic impact into the market. On the public relations side, you can see a variety of articles that we secured for the cultural heritage sector on the left. You can see the title of the article, the publication or media that it ran in, and the value of it, the actual dollar value and the number of impressions, and then which assets were featured in those stories. Last year, we generated about $1.23 million in media value, so advertising equivalency, and that was equal to about 55 million impressions. For the cultural heritage sector specifically, we did about $255,000 in advertising equivalency and 14.7 million in impressions. So the advertising equivalency, what that is telling you is that if we had to actually purchase that space, which we didn't because we were able to get those stories placed through PR efforts, but if we had to actually purchase that space, that's how much it would have cost. On the social media side, very active as ever. There's a number of highlights here that I'm going to show you from what we've been promoting for the cultural heritage sector. The specific results that we drove for the culturals is listed up here at the top: Instagram reach and engagements, and the same for Facebook. While we did have engagements down almost 40%, blog page views down about 19%, we overall did drive a lot of return and engagement through our social channels last year. In fact, our Instagram followers increased by 62% as of January 2021. So that's very successful and robust for us, continues to be so. Here in front of you are a number of different social posts that we have made last fiscal year. So Elsinore, the Capitol, Bush Pasture Park, Enlightened Theatrics, and Salem's Riverfront Carousel. On the marketing communications side, we delivered 21 original videos with over 217,000 views. We published 18 blogs, over 260,000 views for that, and we published monthly e-communications to almost 32,000 consumers with about almost 420,000 impressions. For our website, travelsalem.com, you can see that our overall online user sessions was down quite a bit to 336,000 user sessions last year. Listed on the left here are some highlights of some of the different site improvements that we did last year. This one right here completed a comprehensive website optimization audit to boost the SEO. That's really critical in the long-term health of our website and how we rank when folks do search for Salem, the Mid-Willamette Valley, or things to do here. So we did an audit on that, and our website is extremely healthy at this moment. On the destination development side, we created something called the Great Oaks Food Trail Program, which is part of Travel Oregon's program. It highlights 44 businesses in Polk County primarily, and there's some different things that we did to promote that. On the conventions and group side, we rebooked 5 Jehovah's Witness conventions for 2022. That includes 3 English conventions, and then we've added 2 Spanish-speaking conventions. We created group and events COVID-19 task force, and we provided guest services to over 60,000 attendees last year. The box in the upper right-hand corner here shows that about $6.6 million in economic impact was driven last year, but that was down 72% because of COVID. Future bookings last year, so last year we actually booked business for future years. It was about $21 million in future business. The room nights here, you can see the room nights were not down too significantly last fiscal year, down to about 28,379. On the sports side, we developed a 5-year strategic plan. We launched Travel Salem sports web pages, and the strategic plan outlines how we are focused on promoting Salem as a sports capital of Oregon. And so we have a lot of different strategies that we're deploying to actually do that and claim that title. And we're well on our way. I'll talk about that a little bit later. We created the Willamette Valley Open Pickleball Tournament for spring 2021. That event is brand new. It will be the West Coast premier pickleball tournament right here in our community. And then we created work groups by sector for the Salem Area Sports Commission. And those have been meeting monthly to talk about ideas for bringing in new business. With that, Scott, that is my overview for the annual report. I'd be happy to take any questions before I move on to looking forward.
That's fantastic, Angie. Thank you. Are there any questions from the fellow board members?
I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to say I thought the report was really good, pointing out how you pivoted because of COVID and then your thinking going forward. So thank you for doing that. It was really clear.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, I just want to say really quick, I thought the video was very strong and you should be very proud. You know?
Oh, thank you. That's so thoughtful.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Scott, would you like me to continue forward?
Please, yes.
Okay, so this next section, we were asked to talk about what strategies are we currently deploying. And so we're going to take a little bit of a kind of a trifecta approach to this. I'm going to talk about some trends. I'm going to talk about the tactics that we're using and the results that we're driving. Where possible, I'm going to reflect back on specifically what we're doing for the culturals. But this is about a silver lining approach, and a lot of really wonderful things are in place and moving forward. So I'm excited to share these with you today. First, I'm going to cover some trends and data that is really the backbone behind our decisions for where we're going to market, who we're going to target, and which channels we're going to execute. So let me give you some highlights. This is very recent data. This is as of January 10th. So they're looking at the period of March 2020 to current. And the question that was asked of these folks, and this is research conducted by Destinations Analysts, and it's a national survey. So they're looking at what are the expectations around the coronavirus outbreak? What is the sentiment? Are people feeling that it's going to get better or much better, or is it getting worse or much worse? So the trend line that both of these should be going in a very specific direction. And actually they're going in the correct direction right now. So people who feel like it's getting worse or much worse, there's fewer people feeling that way. People who are optimistic and feeling it's getting better or much better, more people are feeling that way. So both of those trend lines are going in the right direction. And I think that that's very clearly related to the vaccine that is out being distributed now. This is about the vaccine. Are people more optimistic for the return to normal in the next 6 months? Are they, and how are they about traveling in the next 6 months? Both of those trend lines are up dramatically, just over week over week, basically, excuse me. So last week is much more significantly improved over even the week prior to that. So this trend in optimism is really moving dramatically. So this data is about 2 weeks old, but I wanted to share with you how folks are feeling and how are they consuming content and information right now. And consumers are really doing a lot of daydreaming. They're talking a lot about what do they want to do? Where do they want to go? They've got that wanderlust kind of built up inside, and they want to get out and adventure and explore. So almost 40% of folks are daydreaming about travel. They're talking to their friends and relatives about it, and they're researching it online. And so we need to be in that space. We need to be in those online channels promoting this destination. Nearly 60% of Americans miss travel very much. When you look at a word cloud about where people are interested in going, you can see that here some of the warmer destinations are top priorities. Some of the bigger destinations like Vegas and New York, Hawaii, New York City, things like that. And then we found that the convention and international travel avoidance is at its lowest level since pandemic began. That's very encouraging, and we're really waiting for the event business to return. Openness to travel inspiration. This is what's really, we're focusing on this and paying very close attention to what's happening here. So how are consumers, are they open to travel inspiration? Well, almost 61% of Americans have a high degree of excitement about travel in 2021. That's dramatically up week over week over week. So that's boding well for all of the marketing that we're currently deploying, which I'll go over in a second here. What are the marketing channels that Americans are most receptive to hearing about opportunities? So you can see they're divvying this information up by millennial versus Gen X versus boomers or older. And obviously websites are the #1 option for folks to get their information and do their research. But you can see social media is right there at the top. So Facebook, Instagram, and online content like articles and blogs. Now you can see that the different segments, the different generations behave differently with that information, but it's still very important into how consumers are making decisions about where they're going to go when they're ready to do so. How do they feel about seeing an ad promoting tourism to their own community? So this is really looking at residents and how do residents feel if they see an ad promoting their community? Hey, visitors, come here and check out our community. So are they happy about that, or are they unhappy about that? And those trend lines are also going in the right direction. So more and more people are happy about promoting their own communities, and fewer people are concerned about that. So those trend lines are going in the right direction. How Americans expect to travel. The one thing I wanted to call your attention to this slide is that it looks like travel is going to begin to pick up in May. Not dramatically over April, but there is an uptick, and then it kind of continues, and then you can see that sometime later in 2021, September-ish to December is when we're going to be seeing much more activity. What are Americans looking to do in the next 3 months? Almost 50% of Americans are expecting to take at least one trip in the next 3 months. That's really promising. So we're getting ready to we're trying to get in that space to be able to promote our destination to them as they're making those travel decisions. And they're adapting their trip behaviors due to the pandemic. So they're looking for less crowded places. They're looking to visit outdoor-oriented destinations. And thankfully, Oregon is well positioned, and so is Salem and the Mid-Willamette Valley, to capitalize on those two sentiments specifically. Where they're looking to stay. So their hotel stays and so forth are reflected on the left here. But I was more looking at what was happening on the right-hand side. So the expected type of destination, so small towns, villages, or rural destinations is #1. And then state, county, or regional parks is not too far down the list. So that again points to the fact that we're well positioned to get those visitors' attention and have them come to our destination. So now I'm going to move quickly through some strategies that we're deploying as we speak to make this happen. And the money that is funding these initiatives is all Salem Tourism Promotion Area funding. And actually, Scott Snyder is the chair of the STPA committee who's making those decisions about how they want to deploy those funds to market the destination. And so all of the programs I'm going to share with you now, these funds have been approved by the STPA committee, and this work is underway with results that I have, I'll share with you as we go through that. So the visitor's guide, we have $4,000 for postage for the remainder of 2021. We've got about 65,000 guides distributed through January 8th. And this was specifically from other visitor centers and locations requesting more guides and visitors requesting guides. So we needed to be able to respond to those requests. And so we have $4,000 to do that. In addition, we have $10,000, which will cover 6 months. And we've been able to add 321 new locations to distribute the visitor's guide along I-84 and I-5 South. So we're really excited about that. And I want to talk about why that's important for just a second. Travel Salem just completed our 2019 Intercept survey, and we asked visitors which Travel Salem marketing strategies assisted with their decision to visit. And overall, about 28% said that the visitor's guide assisted them with their decision to visit. But let's look more globally at other research that's been done that looks at the value of the visitor's guide. So this survey was done by destination analysts and the Western Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus. So this statistic here says that 88% of consumers said that the visitor's guide helped them make the decision to visit the destination. That's incredible. When you look at the trip decisions that are made with the visitor's guide, so what are consumers using the visitor's guide for? What kinds of information is really important to them? What are they looking for? They're using the visitor's guide to select attractions, and they're selecting tours and events through the visitor's guide. Pre-trip planning versus in-market trip planning. So how does the visitor's guide stack up when consumers are making plans to visit versus when they're actually on ground in the destination touring around? So you can see that the visitor's guide pre-trip is about 81% preferred resource for making trip plans. When they're in the destinations, it's about 75% of them are still using the visitor's guide to move around in the market. The visitor's guide is influencing their travel decisions while they're on the ground. Pre-trip, the digital visitor's guide that's on our website, it's a page turning software, and visitors can not only view the visitor's guide there, but they can request it to be sent to them. Prior to coming into the destination, about 25%. While they're in the destination, they're still using the digital guide about 7% of the time. The Willamette Valley Visitors Association PAC, we are participating in that. So we have $10,000 to get our visitor's guide in this pack. That includes the guides of other destinations within the Willamette Valley. You can see them here. The Oregon Wine Country Guide, the Corvallis, Albany, and Eugene Cascades and Coast Guides. So we're going to be able to be included in about 12,000 to 15,000 packets that are sent out to consumers through this support. On the social media side, we have deployed a Google keyword campaign. We have $9,000 to deploy this. It's been going since October, and it will go through June. And these are some statistics as of January 8th. We had almost 1,000 clicks to our website through this keyword campaign. 85% of those clicks are new visitors, and we've had almost 91,000 impressions from this campaign and its impact and reach with consumers. So we're averaging about almost $1 per click and 1 cent per impression. Those are really impressive numbers. Now, just to give you a sample of what the Google keyword campaign looks like, we are actually, we have selected keywords and themes to promote on Google. And when they type in these combinations of words, our website comes up. And then they click on that and come to get specific information from travelsalem.com. So you can see that we have these different themes down here: things to do, history, museums, arts organization, culture, wineries, restaurants, places to stay, and so forth. Plan a road trip. And so when visitors or consumers type those words in, we're #1 in their search. These are some sample social media posts that we've done this fiscal year, excuse me. This one here was about the Wallace Marine Park boat launch. kind of a nighttime neon glowing. It got a lot of traction. We promoted the Salem Art Fair and Festival, and that it will be featuring, let's see, this was maybe before it canceled, I can't remember, sorry. And then the Salem Virtual Art Fair is promoted here. Here's some more examples for Gaiety Hollow, Deepwood, and Gilbert House. We have the Union Street Railroad Bridge, the Peter Courtney Minto Island Bridge, the Oregon State Capitol during the holidays, and Hallie Ford Museum of Art. So we're deploying some funds, about $11,000, to do some advertising on Facebook and Instagram. We've spent about $9,000 of that so far. We've secured 141,000 engagements, 903,000 reach, almost 4,000 link clicks, over 5,000 Instagram profile visits, and 4,300 new Facebook page likes. This is important because when our research asked consumers which Travel Salem marketing strategies assisted with their decision to visit, 18% said our social media channels. So for instance, this post over here on Silver Falls State Park, we boosted this post and it reached about 95,000 consumers, 16,500 engagements. On the Facebook platform in particular, it is a pay-to-play platform. If you don't spend money, you're not going to get the reach and exposure that you need. So we really do need to have some dollars to make this content really take hold. These are some charts that show what has happened since we deployed the funds. You can see that the orange line is 2020, the blue line is last fiscal year. And in October, in both of these charts, when we actually had money to spend, you can see what happened with the reach on Facebook and the impressions on Instagram. On the advertising side, we're doing online, social, and print advertising. Here are some different channels that we're going to be using. So Oregon Public Broadcasting, TripAdvisor, and the Oregonian, Oregon Live. And the Oregon Live, that campaign is actually through a matching grant. We got $25,000 matching grant with that application. We are spending about $10,000 to advertise in the Northwest Travel and Life magazine. $15,000 to buy an ad in VIA magazine, which is AAA's magazine, has 5.9 million members. We're going to be getting some advertising in Travel Oregon's e-newsletter and their online banners. We're going to spend about $12,000 there. And we're going to do a digital campaign with Expedia. We're going to spend about $20,000 on this. We're going to be targeting drive markets and regional markets in Oregon, Washington, and California. And we anticipate it will deliver about 2 million targeted impressions in those markets. We're looking to drive hotel bookings with this campaign and tracking those results through bookings and ADR. This is kind of what you would see if you go to Expedia. The ad would be on the right here. This would be a Travel Salem ad that'll be here. We actually just finished designing that today, and that campaign is getting launched. The exciting thing about this Expedia promotion is that they actually own all of these channels listed here at the bottom: hotels.com, Travelocity, Orbitz, Hotwire, and so forth. So this campaign is not just going to be on the Expedia platform, but it's going to be across all of these channels listed at the bottom. On the social media side, we're also going to be launching our first TikTok campaign. TikTok is a short form video sharing app. And so you kind of have to create content that's about 15 seconds or so in nature, all videos. And so we're going to do some initial videos to test the effectiveness of reaching the millennial audience, which is huge in this platform. You can see the profile down here. They have about 800 million active users. It's split almost evenly male, female, but 50% of the audience is under 34. And they're spending about almost an hour a day on TikTok and engaging at almost 29%. So 30% are engaging with content on there. So we're going to try our hand at this and see what we can come up with. We're excited to do that. This right here is our internal advertising schedule that we use to flow advertising campaigns that we're rolling out so we can track what is running when. And so you can see in January, we have a couple of things firing away. We would have gotten this money in the pipeline faster, but most of these channels had a waiting list to actually get in the queue. So we got in as quickly as we could, but we did feel that kind of the March, April window and forward is really the place that we need to be as consumers. The vaccine will be more widely deployed at that point. And with all the pent up demand for travel, we think that we'll be in the right space in the March, April window to really influence their trip decisions. So these are just some examples here. You'll see some of the content that we're going to be promoting specifically outlined here. So outdoor, natural resources, things like that. As soon as the attractions are open, or we know when they're going to be open, we'll be able to feed them into these campaigns as well. But at this point, we can only really promote things we feel comfortable where people could actually come and participate in these activities. So that's why you see the content delineated the way you do here. We have $10,000 to curate some content. So we've actually hired some travel writers and content creators to produce some stories for us. And they're also going to be creating 10 to 12 profiles on interesting characters in the region. I'd like to do just kind of a mini call out to you guys really quick. If you have somebody really interesting and dynamic and charismatic in your organization, a volunteer or anyone that you think would be really wonderful, that has a cool story behind why they're so passionate about what they do, send them our way. We'd love to be able to see if they'd be a great fit for this. Some of the different articles and story ideas are listed here on the right. Sort of along the same lines there, we're also going to be deploying $15,000 to build our photo library. We have some gaps in our content and really need to beef those up, particularly related to COVID and such too. So folks wearing masks and things like that. So we're working on that. On the, we attended the Travel and Words Writers Conference. I think that was back in October, yep. And Kara did this, and she met with 10 top tier Pacific Northwest travel writers. You can see them listed here. She's currently working with these travel writers to do media fam tours. So we have folks coming February through June at this point. We have $5,000 dedicated to a meeting planner incentive plan. So as those meeting planners and group leaders are looking to book their business, we have an incentive plan that we're rolling out to incentivize them to book in our market. So if they can drive room nights in these levels here, we're going to be able to give them some cash back for doing so. We're developing some virtual tours of our venues. And I'm going to be promoting that out on social media. We want to be able to talk about how our venues have responded to COVID and how they can keep guests and attendees of different conferences and group meetings safe while they're on the ground here. So we're getting ready to launch this virtual tour campaign as well. On the sports side, in May, our sports person, Damien, will be attending this conference in South Carolina. It's an invite-only conference, and he's going to be meeting with a variety of rights holders, and you can see them listed here on the right. Everything from wrestling to dodgeball to karate, cornhole, spike ball, and so forth. And so we've taken an inventory of who's going to be there and which venues that we have that could host these groups, and he's going to be pitching them aggressively when he goes there in May. Also, we did purchase a sport court for $34,000. This portable basketball flooring is NCAA approved, and it will be housed out at the Oregon State Fair and Expo Center's pavilion. It has 3 lives left, so we can do a couple of sandings on it, but this is going to allow us to capture sporting events that we've never been able to capture before. So we're specifically going to be going after the OSAA 4A or 5A state basketball playoffs specifically right now. That's what we're hunting on that one. So that's very exciting as well. I wanted to just give you a quick update on Fly Salem, the commercial air service recruitment initiative that we're involved in. We attended the Takeoff Conference in Denver in October. We met with SkyWest and Allegiant, and you can see the different markets they would be flying to. SkyWest would be looking to go to San Francisco or Seattle, and Allegiant, Phoenix or Vegas. We have a meeting actually scheduled with SkyWest at the end of this month in St. George, Utah, to discuss the path forward. So that's very exciting. We will have to bring to bear about a $1 million MRG to secure that commercial air service, but we are on top of it and are confident we'll be able to do that. So Looking forward to those conversations at the end of this month. I'll keep you posted. And then we're going to be attending the Volaire Forum in July in St. Augustine, Florida, to also meet with the commercial airline recruiters and see if we can get some other attention into this market. We are applying right now for a $900,000 SCASD federal grant, and it has to be submitted by the end of this month. And we're hopeful we'll be able to secure that as well. That would go along with the $1 million MRG. Our fundraising right now for the MRG is about $700,000 pledged to date. And then lastly, I wanted to give you a quick update. So if you will recall, the Salem Tourism Promotion Area Initiative, those funds, we committed to having a dedicated Travel Salem Cultural Heritage Liaison. That plan was sort of put on hold when COVID hit, as we had to lay off 30% of our staff and do massive budget cuts down to just essential operations. And we're still in that mode. We have not rehired anybody, and we're still in kind of staff and keeping the lights on only mode right now. But we did have to put the filling of that position or of that obligation on hold. We're currently reevaluating the timing of that position because we're trying to look ahead here, knowing that the cultures are going to hopefully start reopening soon. Maybe the May, June, we don't know exactly time frame, but we want to be poised and ready to help them with those initiatives as they begin to reopen. So the STPA committee will be discussing this at their February meeting. And Irene Bernards has been selected as our liaison to the Cultural Heritage Partners, so she will be the one that you guys will be working with. This is just a quick overview of the timeline from most current to last of the different support and outreach we've done for the cultural heritage folks, notifying them about different COVID resources, financial opportunities, trends, data, grants, the recovery plan, our toolkit, and so forth. And we were really excited to see some of the initiatives that the culturals have initiated during the pandemic. And you can see just sort of, this is just a sampling. There's other organizations that are doing similar things, but we just pulled a few to show the diversity of the partners and what they're doing. So some of them are doing home learning boxes, virtual shows, virtual field trips, virtual tours, interesting kind of mashups and partnerships, education, online marketplaces, and digital broadcasts like the Oregon Symphony in Salem. So that's what I have, Scott, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions or thoughts or discussion that the board has.
Yeah, I had a question I wanted to ask about. So I know that Salem has, faced a challenging political climate in the past couple months in the form of, protests and demonstrations. Has there been any concern, from Travel Salem about bad word of mouth or, any other potential ramifications?
Yeah, Ryan, that's a really great question. And absolutely, we're not immune to those perceptions, just like Portland isn't, based on the riots and things that have happened up there. We've stayed really positive, and all of our content that we're creating stays very focused and inspirational. We aren't getting into the political fray on any of that stuff, but we're just really staying focused on promoting the brand of the destination, which is founded in solid experiences here. So we're not promoting anything that someone can't come here and experience. Could they also come and experience something somewhat negative around protests or riots or other crazy things that are happening? Yes, but overall, the messaging that we're promoting is this is a positive place, a welcoming place, and hoping that folks will think about how their own communities have responded to some of these crises and situations and know that it doesn't, it's not systemic. It doesn't mean the whole community is that way, but we're trying to stay focused on the positive and our brand messaging.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Angie, thank you very much for you and your team helping get this all organized. I be interested if any of the cultural facilities have any feedback or questions for Angie, or with Irene being the liaison on deck for her, just if there's specific guidance. I think Angie's pretty approachable. If you don't feel comfortable talking about it in the with this large of a group, obviously Angie and Irene would be open to, I presume they would be open to individually speaking with you as well.
I
would just say that this is Yvonne with DPIT, and I just wanted to say that we were all very excited about the pending position change, with being able to welcome Irene to work with us in a large capacity. And I think it's safe to say that we're all eager for that to be able to move forward, and look forward to embracing with Travel Salem how we plan to move forward, and are always open to getting together with Travel Salem to explore ideas at any stage in this process.
And I appreciate your optimism, Yvonne. I because Angie's going to the Fly Salem, we had to delay our STPA meeting until the first week in February. But I do feel positive that my fellow board members on that committee, the other hoteliers, definitely see the importance and opportunity to start helping Travel Salem make this important thing happen. So
Alicia?
Yes, thank you, Yvonne. That was well stated. And my question just is to Angie and Irene, if you could clarify a little bit better what you mean by liaison and what the culturals can expect from that relationship in the next couple of months.
So once we're able to move forward with that program, essentially, our commitment is to work collaboratively with the culturals to look at some baseline foundational types of infrastructure, meaning like what kinds of metrics are you guys using to track demonstrate your how you're, sorry, I'm not being very clear. Effectiveness, thank you so much. So what the metrics might look like and other things, what are your strategic plans look like, and gaining some alignment so we kind of can create a plan to go forward and looking at that collaboratively with you. So we're not here to say, do this, do that. We really want to work side by side with you to do that work. So that would kind of be some information gathering, gaining some intelligence about what currently is going on, what the goals are, and what resources we have to work with, and then moving forward from there. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just for my 2 cents worth as a hotelier, I think what Angie and her team bring, and the reason that when Chris suggests this idea is like, this is right in Travel Salem's wheelhouse. This is what they do. Is they're going to be able to look at their fellow organizations, other destination marketing organizations in other parts of the state, other parts of the Western United States, and seeing what works for them, and helping us not have to reinvent the wheel, but using things that are working, and helping each organization pick the parts that they want to embrace. And because there might be some of these things that that just doesn't make sense to Gilbert House, but this part is really appealing to me. All right. Well, again, thank you, Angie. And as I've stated, I think they've got an open door for any follow-up questions. And if it's okay, we will go ahead and get started on the scoring guideline and making any declarations of conflict of interest, and then diving into our, I believe it's 15 applications.
Yeah, it is about 14 to 15. So I think the only declaration I have is from Laura Tessler related to the Salem Art Association, and Omar related to the Odyssey event application that you'll be reviewing in February.
All right. Anybody else have any potential conflicts? All right. So I believe we're going in order. Is that correct, Chris? So the first applicant is Capital Cup Tournament with Capital Football Club. Is Joanna on the call?
Yes, Joanna was here originally.
I thought I saw somebody leave from Capital Cup.
Let's see. Just kind of scanning through the current. Yeah, I don't see her at this time. She was here originally. Are there any questions related to the Capital Cup tournament?
Yeah, I have some questions. This is Laura. So I would like to know what other economic benefits are there from these games? Are there food stands at these games? Do people, do they invite people to come and set up, food carts, or, do people, local people come and sell things? I'd like to see some more secured sponsors for these games. One thing that I'd really like to see the soccer people do is I'd really like to see them included in this big sports package that we just heard about from Travel Salem. I would like to see Travel Salem include these soccer games and these Capital Cup tournaments in their sports packages. They can include them right now. And they talked about this pickleball tournament. They can start to promote these Capital Club tournaments in this package that they just talked to us about. That would probably help them because soccer is popular. So that would be my other question is, are they working with Travel Salem for that?
Yes, they are. We work really closely with the Capital Cup. Absolutely.
And Chris, I have a general question, and maybe it's because I'm working on so many committees I've lost track, but my understanding that these grants would be for the next fiscal year, is that right? Starting July 1st?
So these grants, the effective date is July 1st, 2021. So anytime from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 is the fiscal year that these grant awards will be made available and the time period in which the events will take place.
Okay, that was going to be my question is, they referred to the spring tournament, but I wasn't sure if they meant this spring or spring of 2022. And also I noticed in their budget that their expenses exceeded their revenue. So I had questions about that.
Yeah, that was my question too.
Hey, Galen, Ryan, Chris, Angie just emailed me about, or texted me about needing to approve the annual report. We got so enthralled in all the stuff they're doing, we forgot to vote to approve. So before we get too much further down the rabbit hole on these applications, can we go back just a moment and if I can get a motion to accept Travel Salem's annual report in a second, please?
So moved.
Is that Galen?
Galen.
And Ryan. Fantastic. Any further discussion regarding the annual report? Very good. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, very good. Thank you very much. And I don't want to be left out of the budget question, but that was my question regarding the Capital Cup as well. It appears they're about $60,000 in deficit there. I'm sure it's something that is not put into the top that should be, but it would be nice if Joanna or Colin or somebody was on the call to answer that question.
Did you guys get, when you did the per person cost, did you get, I was just curious if you got the same per person cost that I did. I got $18.80 and then $15.37 for the other one. So that part was kind of strange because I was trying to figure out the ratios for that.
Were you using for the per person costs the participants or the full attendees that they're projecting?
Participant.
Okay.
I've got Joanna sent me an email and I didn't see that. She's waiting in the, we're bringing her back in.
Okay, awesome.
So I'll give her a second, Joanna, to get back online here.
I'm in. Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Were you able to hear our questions, Joanna?
No, I wasn't. Sorry.
Okay. Laura, would you like to restate your question?
Basically, I was just curious, like, at the games, I mean, do you have people there that are, selling food or selling beverages, or are there other economic benefits from the games, to the community?
Yes.
Okay. So I figured, but it wasn't really clear to me.
No, that's a good question. Yeah.
Okay. And do you, I guess I would like to see you have some more secured sponsors. That wasn't real clear to me. Who is your, how many people are secured? I didn't see a real long list. I also asked if you were working with Travel Salem. We heard a very extensive presentation tonight and they didn't mention they were working with you. So, but Irene assured us that they are working with you. It would be nice if they mentioned that in their presentation because you are a TOT recipient.
Yeah.
So, but those were my questions.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So we do have Pioneer Trust Bank has been our title sponsor and that has been with us before. And then we have a couple other guys. And then also Damien has been in contact with our executive director, Colin Box, with a couple different projects. And this specifically, as the presentation was happening earlier with the hotel revenues and all that kind of jazz. I mean, that feeds right into what Capital Cup brings for the community and who all is coming in. So we are working with Travel Salem and Damien, and I'll work on how we can kind of promote that more and share that a little bit more.
And I can say as one of the host hotels, we definitely see a lot of the kids, the families going to downtown restaurants. They're going to shops. They're definitely not playing soccer their entire weekend. They are exploring. So
absolutely, and especially in this kind of thing. I mean, it's not just a one kid like one kid isn't just going to play soccer, right? The whole family's coming. So it's kind of an appetizing piece to play.
And I know that probably it's been 2 years ago, but Toby Olson with the Hampton Inn and Suites had encouraged cultural facilities. They've got the bags, and so many of these organizations like Hoopla and Capital Cup would be happy to put anybody's information in that bag to encourage families to go to Deepwood, or to, to, when they don't have games, to be experiencing what Salem has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we give each team kind of a like welcome package type of idea. And so to be able to insert those plugins, it's definitely a good thing.
Because you have coupons for, to incentivize them to go to, wherever, right? So.
Yeah. So last year we had Target out there, and Target did kind of this big, like mini game festival area. And so we don't know if we aren't planning on partnering with them again, but we do want to mimic that and kind of have like a street fair type of idea out there, to be able to promote literally everything and have kind of a central hub on location to say, hey, when you're not here at the fields, here's something else you can do.
Joanna, is this application for 2022 or 21?
21. We're still looking to be able to run it this year, but looking
after July 1st, though.
Yes.
Do you have a date?
So yeah, right now the application process is kind of weird because Capital Cup, OYSA isn't too sure on what those will look like. And so there isn't like the application process for Capital Cup hasn't opened and been allowed for us to do yet.
And Joanna, your season will typically cross over, like begins like late June and goes into July, August.
Mm-hmm.
So with the TOT stuff, it kind of has an overlap for the funding cycle, in the sense that we pick up like the end of anything after July 1st, 2021 games, and then pick up the remaining portion of the June 2022 section, because of the way the funding cycle is.
Yeah, so Capital Cup hits in the end of May, June.
So if it's likely to happen, I'm just sorry to be not clear. This is likely to happen next May or June. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So sorry, I'm also on, because COVID has been so unpredictable. Like I want to sit here and say, yes, we're going to be able to do this, but to do everything that we want to do, it's probably not going to happen until 2022.
Okay. And just for clarification, Chris, if it was happening this May or June, we could not fund it with this grant cycle.
Correct.
Okay. And then my other question is the budget appears to have quite a lot more in expenses than in revenues. Do you know why that is? Usually we like to see them balance out.
I think that's due to our current, the sponsorships not being secured yet for the next year.
Do you recall, Joanna, what your sponsorships were? You didn't obviously have one in 2019, 2020 fiscal year, but in the prior successful tournament, do you know what your sponsorship dollars were?
Not off the top of my head. I would have to go and look, which I can do. I can pull up that report.
So would that have been 2018, 2019?
Yes.
Okay.
And should we do questions on the U23 application as well?
Sure. Yeah.
So same thing. What's your season date for the U23s?
Yeah. So season date for the U23s goes May through middle of July. And so we hit those post-college kids.
Mm-hmm. And so this grant obviously wouldn't be able to do May through June.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be are you thinking these funds would go to next 2022 season?
Yes, would roll over, yes.
Okay. And then my other question is, in the application, I think you said you had the attendance number you used was 489. And I wasn't sure if that was 489 people per game or per season.
Per game.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive that 489 people come out to watch U23 soccer. Good job.
It's a mixture. There's the ups and downs. Kind of goes with the wins and losses, right? So the more we win, the more we can get out there. But
yeah.
Yeah, so I had an additional question. So I noticed on the application you had checked the box for diversity and inclusion as being one of the benefits of the event. So can you be a little more specific about how the event is either reaching out to diverse populations, has an element of inclusivity?
Yes. So for the 23 team specifically, we have foreign players from not only across the US, but across the world. And so some of the guys that I've met are from France, Jamaica, Croatia, and that kind of jazz. And so the experience that they bring and they have here, they get to connect with these kids on kind of a different level right after every game. Kids can go out and meet these players and talk to these players, and there really is a diverse connection. So here in Salem, the variety of people we have here in town, it can not only some guys can relate to these players, but also get to know new culture, whatever, within that. And so like we have a huge Latino population. And I think one of my favorite things is we'll do school. We, not this year, obviously, but in the past we would do player appearances, and we would go to a couple different local elementary schools and middle schools. And just to see those kids light up to look at these like foreign players and say, oh, I can do that, right? And I can be here, I can go wherever and play. So it really hits not just the soccer population, but diversity across the board. Like I have girls asking me if I'm their coach. I'm like, no. So it's just kind of fun to see all the worlds collide. So that's how the diversity piece fits in.
Yeah. Is there a marketing effort to try to reach out to, sorry, one second.
I'm sorry to keep you on the hot seat so long.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry. Is there a marketing effort to try to reach out to diverse populations, as well, like to expand maybe to the greatest possible audience, like having materials in Spanish or using different marketing channels?
Yes, and so we'll do our our printing in both Spanish and English for game day, and then we'll have our players, if they're doing like greetings and messages on social media, they'll say it in their language.
Okay,
but
thanks.
Yeah. And what was your?
Oh, my question was also on the diversity. I noticed that you make quite a bit of money from your tryout fees. Is there a way to get less wealthy students or less wealthy players to be able to try out?
I don't want to sound, our tryouts are mainly a way of fundraiser. And so it's not necessarily, we don't pull too many players from the tryout fees, if that makes sense.
Oh, do they know that?
No, they don't know that. It's not my favorite thing, and I'm sorry to say that, but realistically, that's not where the bulk of our players come. We only pick a handful of players from tryouts. We have our roster kind of already laid out, so tryout is definitely just a revenue maker.
Okay, so So again, we're looking at the 2022 calendar year for these events. Any other questions regarding the two applications? I think the comments you made regarding the a year away is probably very far away for most of your candidates for sponsorship commitments, but you're starting the conversations with those past sponsors and hoping to get at least verbal commitments.
Yes, those conversations have been happening.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for jumping back in, Joanna.
Yeah, sorry, my internet went out. Sorry.
Oh, very good. All right. Well, thank you. And so next we'll move to Inglewood. If it's okay to move to Inglewood Forest Festival.
I'm here.
All right.
I see Hoopla up though. Oh, there we go.
We'll get it in there.
It's up now.
All right.
And are you planning for August again this year for your
Yes, it's always the second Saturday in August, or usually is.
All right.
Just a comment, I thought you guys did a nice job this year laying out your expansion plans while still keeping it a neighborhood friendly kind of event. So good job on the write-up.
Thank you. It's a lot of work going into these grants.
Yeah, so I had a question. So I noticed you had marked overnight hotel stays as top revenue as being one of the event benefits. So I know you had an estimate for how many hotel nights you expected from via the event, but do you have any? Actually, wait, no. Oh wait, no, you didn't check the box. I must have been remembering correctly. Yeah, no, I remember. So it said on the estimates for a number of overnights, I think 50.
Right.
So is that just an estimate, or do you have any hard numbers for that?
We don't have any hard numbers. We don't have an entry gate, and the park is, you can approach from at least 3 sides. It's very easy to get into the park. So a lot of our attendance is sort of gathered by people looking or by people stopping and talking to our own area. So these are real round numbers.
Good, thanks.
It is a pretty community-based festival, and so the out-of-towners are, we hope they're there, but that isn't our usual base.
Good, thanks.
I just, the $3,000 grant for a one-day event seems like a pretty large investment. This is your 4th year, is that correct?
Yes. And a lot of it is going for the entertainment because we do pay entertainers. And then because we're in a park, there's stage needs. And we do have the broadcast or the boy, the words are not coming.
Radio?
Audio visual, I bet.
Yes, the audio is donated, the sound system. But somebody did donate a stage, but that's not something we can count on.
Okay. Have you, much like the Salem Art Festival, they have their vendors pay a commission or a fee based on sales. So
We don't have that.
What if you were to incorporate that? So these vendors that are making $2,000 share part of that with your organization for seed money.
At this point, we are still trying to inspire budding artists of all kinds. And so that isn't something the board has thought about. We could think about if they reach a certain level that perhaps they could do a percentage, but we'd have to discuss that.
Just looking at, you've got several ways of generating. You've got a fee for your artist. Well, so there is an artist vendor fee. Okay,
It is a booth fee that they pay.
Okay, so is that so that's anybody that has a booth pays into that $950?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Scott, could I interject something here? This is Denise from Salem Art Association.
Yes, Denise, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that the Salem Art Association's booth fees are not based on sales. It's a set fee for the booths.
Okay, I stand corrected. I was a church that I had been a member of many years ago, and I helped participate in a food booth. I understood it was a percentage of our revenue that was paid. So
may have been years ago.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions for the Inglewood Forest Festival? All right. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And so the next application.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah. The next application is the Festival Chorale. This is an event, not a season. So anybody have any questions regarding, is Brian on the call or somebody else with the organization?
I don't have this one on my list for tonight. Is this on the list for tonight, Chris?
No, I don't seem to have it listed as one of the ones.
Oh.
I scored it, but I did them all at once.
I did them in alphabetical order, so I didn't even look
I did too, Scott.
We're overachievers, Laura. Okay, so if they're not here, then we'll move our comments to next month for Festival Chorale. So AC Gilbert House, 2 applications, one for their reopening and one for the Halloween.
Reimagined.
Yes, thank you.
Or re-engineered, I should say.
Yes.
I just want to say I love their Halloween reimagined thing. And
me too.
Me
too.
That's going to be just a great thing for you guys. You'll get sponsors from all the construction companies.
Totally.
You can keep it going. So really good pivot for this year. Plus, that's a long range, candy engineering event.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I love how you pivoted quickly to adapt to the COVID thing with the creative, use of distributing candy with the various, like the catapults and all the different, that's just a very, very clever 180 pivot. And the women in construction is just such a great idea. I personally will come down and take a picture of a woman wearing a tool belt. I love that idea, and what a great, DEI idea, and, excellent. I just very, very clever, Alicia, very clever.
Well, thank you.
And then, Oh, go ahead.
questions about kind of the two, like in addition to diversity and inclusion, things about tax, about additional economic revenue for downtown Salem and overnight stays. So does this event, to your knowledge, would it generate any revenue for downtown or have any multiplier effect or result in any overnight hotel stays?
So we didn't mark the increasing room rates because I really don't anticipate that
Okay.
people would travel and stay in a hotel for this event. However, we did not do any survey information this last one, but plan to in the future, especially for this grant, but also for our knowledge base. I was selling raffle tickets and talked to people, and just from anecdotal, there were people, probably about 5% from out of town, both the Portland and Eugene markets. And our marketing next year will ramp up, especially with the TOT grant, and we'd be able to build that. People are really looking for things to do, I think, per Angie's presentation. So we really had a terrific turnout. There isn't any dining really around us, but we base it around kind of that time. So we're trying to encourage people to go downtown and eat.
Alicia, I have more of an editorial on and I agree with the Halloween bash that's really cool. On your reopening application, my notes are that this really seems more like an operating cost of business for the project. And do you think that it is more valuable to your organization to have TOT revenue for reopening versus any another event that may bring in more sponsors or more revenue?
A great question, Scott. So like we've been discussing tonight, none of us have a crystal ball. So trying to anticipate what events we could host and safely do. We were able to land on Halloween Re-Engineered and be able to do that, and are coming up with other creative ideas. But I chose to ask for the funding for this because reopening will be, it will take a lot from the organization. It will take rehiring, it will take training all the new staff. And based on what our partner organizations are seeing in other markets that can open, they've been having about 20% attendance. So we anticipate that there will not be revenue to offset some of those upfront costs to bring on staff, to do marketing and other things like that to get things up and going.
That's a perfect answer. Thank you. That makes excellent. I mean, I'm at 20% occupancy, so where I was last year. So I definitely understand.
And Alicia, back to the crystal ball. Are you anticipating this is going to come in after June or?
So Gilbert House interactive exhibits are placed in the phase 3 of the governor's reopening plan. So taking my crystal ball, I think that will be, we're planning for fall, trying to take the kind of long view and anticipate. If we were to get the go ahead before that, we would move up those planning things and probably do some weekend openings and things like that as a soft thing. But there's no way that for hands-on exhibits that I don't think it would be before that July 1st date.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions for Alicia? Thank you very much, Alicia. Appreciate it. Great answers. All right. We've got the Cherry Fest Northwest. Jason, I know you were on earlier. Are you? Oh, that's a nice picture. Any questions for the Cherry Fest Northwest?
Good evening, everybody.
Now, you had some issues with your application. I remember seeing that there was some of the formatting wouldn't allow you to use the boxes, but you went into great detail, used a PDF to be able to show your budget.
Yeah, and if I'm sorry to cut you off, Scott, but
no, that's fine.
I wanted just to make sure you knew on section 2, we tried to check all 3 boxes. So all 3 boxes should be checked.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah.
my only note that I wanted to make sure you saw.
And much like the Capital Cup, I really am excited. Securing an additional 25% community partners. Obviously, the Cherry Fest is a community event and brings a lot of people in from all over town and the region. So what was is it sustainability? What was your motivation looking at a 25% increase? Do you think they're still going to get the bang for their buck? Is their spot going to be so small on your banners that we'll be able to read it still?
No. So, this event is going to look a lot different than it has in the past. We're moving it from Riverfront Park to the State Fairgrounds for April 29th through May 1st of 2022.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because we've worked with Travel Salem, and we're going to be having a regional cornhole tournament with the American Cornhole Association. We're working with another event producer to bring in a professional rodeo as part of the event. We will have a secondary basketball tournament run by our Hoopla crew and utilize all the buildings out there, but we'll still have food booths and the entertainment and concerts and a carnival. And it'll just be very inclusive. But with a year and a half to plan, people are just starving for events, and people are starving. I know so many people, even on this Zoom call, have been hurting, and we want to, if there's somebody that wants to have an art gallery out there, or somebody that wants to have an exhibit out there, or if there's another smaller sporting event that, might want to get involved, we want to engage in all of those people and get as many partners involved. And we look at it as really a fair that we're going to be hosting out there for 3 days in the spring, which is typically not a heavy time for events, and get other things going at a different time of year. And I know the numbers are aggressive, but just the basketball tournament alone, adding that and the cornhole tournament will bolster the participation.
That's great. And I think the grass at Riverfront Park will appreciate you using the fairgrounds.
And Jason, I imagine you're going to use the state, the buildings indoors for these events because of the weather, or are you picturing this outside?
It'll be a combination of indoor, outdoor, but we envision utilizing most all of the indoor buildings. The cool thing is like the building where they have the name's slipping by, but it's indoor, outdoor. It's where all the livestock pavilion at the fairgrounds, and there's huge bay doors. So it's really, it's all covered. So if it rained, we could have a basketball tournament in there. And the ground is no different than what we do at Hoopla in front of the Capitol. But that building alone is 80,000 square feet. And we projected that we could put 20 courts in there. We could put 5 or 6 courts in the pavilion. And the Jackman Long and the Columbia Hall, we can do that. But outside we could do tents, and there will be some learning along the way, but definitely we're planning on using the majority of the indoor buildings.
Cool. All right. Any other questions for Jason regarding Cherry Fest?
Well, we have Jason. Can we just do Hoopla now?
Yep. Perfect. Yep. And this is your 21st year?
It'll be the 22nd event.
22nd year. Okay.
In here where it says 23rd in Roman numerals, one of our dreams and plans was potentially to have 2 Hooplas in 2021 to make up for the lost one last year. I don't want to say we're pulling the plug on that, but it's looking like a long shot. And you know, I'm thinking this will be our the last one we did was our 21st hoopla. So
Okay.
the next one, which was probably this one, will be the 22nd.
All right. And you've gotten pretty good at it, right?
Well, I don't want to, we have an amazing team, and it's something that, you know, whether you're a player or just a spectator or a sponsor or a volunteer, I see all four of those areas really equally sharing in the enthusiasm of it. And it's something the whole town has really embraced and gotten behind. And it's like a big family reunion every summer. And I mean, I just know so many people that are just spectators at it that love getting a cup of coffee and going down on Saturday morning and watching games and seeing people they haven't seen in years. And we're very proud of it.
Awesome. All righty. Any other questions?
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much, Jason.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right. So next application, I believe, is the Make Music Day. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Is Mark on the call or somebody else from the organization? Okay, thank you, Mark. So any questions regarding the Make Music?
So Mark, my question was the same. Is this application for June 21st of 2022?
This application is, yes.
Okay, good. Just confirming. I love this event. I had some international exchange students that I brought to this the first year you did it, and they were just blown away that we had so many musicians and it was free. That's what they're excited about. It was just free to people. I had a question on I know you do it all with like volunteers. And do you do any coordination with any of the like high school music programs?
We try. The problem is that the school ends at that time, and also the instruments are due on June 21st, all the rentals and repairs, and also it's the last day of the contract for teachers. So we have tried, and we would love any kind of support we can get. But some of the schools do participate, many private schools do, and then also just kind of ad hoc groups of students from different schools will put together a group and perform and do all kinds of things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So can you tell me exactly what this is? I mean, I guess I still don't really understand what this is and what you do.
Okay. So Make Music Day is, just give a little history of it. It started in France back in the 80s. And the idea was that the first day of summer, musicians and people should get outside and play music and listen to music, and everything should be free. And this idea expanded through France, and now it's throughout the world. So June 21st, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of cities, and I think it's getting close to about 80 countries celebrate this day with whatever their take is on having free music and entertainment and that sort of a thing. Every city does it differently. And there's not a lot of, there's no dictation other than it needs to be free. It should be outdoors unless you get rained on. And it should be welcoming and participatory for anybody, whatever their skill level is, whatever their interest in music is, whatever it might be. So that is the event. And roughly about 12, 13 years ago, starting with New York, Make Music Day started out, and it's been growing ever since then. I think, in the United States, we were like the 33rd city, I think, to join. We're now at about 80 cities in the United States that have joined participating in this. Right now, we're the only Oregon city that participates in this. And we've gotten a lot of nice publicity and press, and even in spite of this year, we still had the event. We had about 30 performers play out throughout the city and things on video and that sort of a thing. So it's just music and free and very open architecture to do whatever people want to do, and for everybody.
Okay.
Mark, go ahead, Laura.
So thank you. I just had a couple more questions. So I guess I'm asking you these questions because I read your application and I still couldn't really understand what it was. I mean, I've lived here for over 20 years and I never really heard of it, and I've never really been to it, and I'm a live music person, so maybe I just wasn't here, and so I guess I would like to see more coverage of this event and promotion of it. And have you worked with Press Play or Travel Salem or?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And I'm not saying because I haven't heard of it, you haven't done a good job. I'm just surprised because it sounds cool and I want to check it out. So I'm intrigued by it. So that was my only other question for you.
Yeah, we work with a number of partners. Press Play has helped us. The Statesman Journal's helped us. There's been a lot of coverage in various kind of media. We also do obviously social media. We start basically getting the word out about signing up in March, and then basically anybody that wants to host or play can sign up and they'll be matched and can perform. That's really it. So I think that's the purpose of our grant, is the application is to ask for more support. The marketing stuff is obviously very expensive. We do Google ads and we do all sorts of things. And as mentioned before with Angie, was just the reaching people with Facebook and all that stuff just gets kind of expensive these days.
Yeah.
So that's really where our grant is asking for, is support on that and getting the word out. I think we have great partners, and I think once people see it, they kind of understand it once they've kind of seen what Make Music Day is about.
Okay.
Mark, this is Scott here. So you probably did not do a Make Music Day live event in 2020. Are you planning on doing one in 2021?
We actually did an event on the 21st of 2020. We worked and had virtual events. We also hosted Capital City Media, which is CCTV. They filmed concerts throughout the town, including outside their studio and that sort of a thing. And we had about 30 performances that were streamed live throughout the world. And because Capital does, can't remember their name now, CCTV, I just want to say that. They did such a great job. They really embraced this, and this got broadcast all over the world, and we had people like listening to our local bands and performing, and they were a great partner and just helped us kind of pull that off this year. And it was great. And then we just had people like randomly getting together and playing in downtown and other places and people's front porches throughout the city. So we did have the event. We actually did our winter. We do a little Make Music Day on the 21st of December. There was a lot going on that day, but we still had a small event that evening and had some people playing some music that evening. So regardless of what COVID will do and that sort of thing, we plan to have some sort of event and some sort of educational events and that sort of thing. So.
And regarding the budget, it appears with your MCDC grant and with the pending TOT grant that you will be having about a $10,000 surplus from expenses proposed and revenue proposed. What's going to happen to that potential $10,000 profit?
Well, I mean, we scale it. I mean, so, based on last year, last year was kind of a strange thing, obviously, with like I said, we did the event in 2020.
Mhm.
We would obviously use any money that we have to help pay for, equipment, depending on what the situation is with, when it is that year. Marketing, of course. We also, go out of our way to pay people that are in the business of renting equipment and that sort of a thing, and running stages and that sort of thing. So it really depends on the scale of things that we're doing. We have had very generous folks in the past that have given us money. This past year, we did not ask for any money.
Mhm.
We continue to get some grants. So we will use that money as best we can, and also to continue the organization into the future.
Okay. Any other questions for the Make Music Day? All right, Mark, thank you very much
Thank you very much.
for being
Appreciate
here
it.
tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Genoa here with the Oregon State Capitol Foundation, or somebody else, representative.
Hi, good evening.
Hi there. Oh, you were first. All right.
Enthusiastic.
So this is the Cherry Blossom Day at the Capitol, and any questions for Genoa?
I was on mute for that. I was just saying that I liked your application and this idea of taking an asset we have. Those cherry blossoms are an amazing part of Salem, and really starting to promote them, and especially these years where people are thinking more about outside stuff. I think it's great to see. What you talked a little bit about how the Capitol Foundation is its own nonprofit, but your board is still determined by legislators. How is that operationally?
Isn't that interesting? It's the first organization I've worked with that operates that way. So they used to be a quasi-governmental entity, and they were staffed by the Legislative Administration Committee. And then they decided that it might be beneficial if they were their own 501c3, because there was the perception that they were, controlled by the state, which in essence they were, and that they were a state agency, and that giving money to the foundation was like giving money back to the state. And what the foundation is all about is really enhancing the Capitol building, the grounds, preserving the history, and we do that through oral histories and displays at the Capitol. When we have Black History Month, they often will fund the exhibits. It's just, we want to make sure that the Capitol is preserved so that people feel comfortable coming in and feeling that it is their building, mainly opening it up on the weekends, because a lot of people, obviously the building is open Monday through Friday when people work. And we've had people say, oh gosh, I didn't realize that I could bring my kids down from Portland and we could actually get into the building on a weekend during these events. So it is unusual, but it does work. The Legislative Administration Committee, we bring names to them from our nomination committee. Legislative Administration then blesses, if you will, those appointments. So we're still very much a part of the Capitol, even though we're a 501c3.
Right. And then my other question is, you don't have much other support other than the foundation itself. Are there any plans to look for sponsors for this event?
Yeah, that was my question too.
Yeah, actually, there are a number of in-kind contributions. There are businesses around the city that help us promote. The last time we did this, I don't know if you happened to notice or see the little hand-painted parasols that were displayed in various businesses, which doesn't cost them any money, but it does cost the artists to take the time to create those. And there was quite a bit of in-kind contribution. We don't charge fees for the booths. We want people to come out and participate and feel like it's their building, and we want to encourage as many individuals to, well, for example, one year we had an origami booth where people could come by and do the origami instruction. We do pay though for the entertainment, the Japanese, the dancers, and the tea ceremony that they do, and it does cost to have them there. But yeah, we do seek out other other partners, but it's not the do or die. I mean, if people can't partner at this time, we still want to go forward with it, especially right now.
Right.
I think it's really crucial. At the beginning of the meeting, there was some discussion about the overall feeling of the Capitol and whether people felt that it was still a welcoming place to be, and that's one of the things we want desperately to bring back. Nothing says Salem more than the cherry blossoms, and next year, or in 2022, the date is March 19th, and we're in hope that the blossoms will be out and that people will see the beauty of their building, that it is not a place for rancor and dissension, but a place of beauty where they can bring their families and enjoy. And yes, we will continue to reach out for additional partners, but we are determined to make this go forward no matter what. In fact, if I may for just a second, last fall, obviously we have the Hispanic Heritage Day that we usually do the same thing, open up the Capitol on the weekends, and Pacific Islander Day, and cultural diversity. We did that virtually. Either the president or the chair or I would record a message to those who participated online, and we still thought it was important to hold those events even though they were online. And we are determined to in 22 to have this event go forward. As we feel that now more than any other time in our history, it's crucial that we showcase the Capitol building and redirect the focus, if you will. I didn't mean to go on, but I'm kind of passionate about it. So
I can see why. Thank you so much.
And Jenna, just from a fiduciary responsibility standpoint, I believe your application talked about the $7,000 would go towards planning, marketing, and promoting. And marketing had $2,000 for a budgeted proposed item. What else makes up that $7,000, if you don't mind?
No, I don't mind. And just by way of full disclosure, the foundation does not set the budget. Visitor services at the Capitol sets the budget based on their cost, and we do discuss it with them. But for example, as you mentioned, we will do radio ads and things of that nature. There is a cost for the entertainment, to bring the dancers in and to bring the ceremony.
Is that equipment rentals then? I mean,
there is, and it does cost.
Wow, it is just.
Sorry. It does cost to have the Capitol building open on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that isn't done on a regular basis. So when that happens, the state police have been very kind about donating the bulk of their time, but there's janitorial work, and there's all sorts of opening up the building in itself is a cost. And then of course there's equipment, there's there's tents that we sometimes rent. Usually if somebody's gonna have a booth, they have their own. But we are prepared. Refreshments we like to have on hand. My company in the past, as we do staff the foundation, but we staff other organizations as well. And so we're an independent company, and we've often provided refreshments at these events because we think it's very important. But there are fees though for the artists. It takes a lot to pull something like this together and to promote it and have something that people really, when they get there, there's a lot to offer. We want them to have a lot of things to see visually and to listen to, and not everyone can afford to donate. Not all artists, whether it be the singers or the artists who paint they can't all afford to donate their time.
No, that makes sense. Okay, any other questions for Genoa? All right, thank you very much for your time.
I just wanted to say thank you to you. It's a hard time for our city and for our state and our country, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to put forward a grant for something like this that hopefully will bring back some cultural flavor back to our city.
I'm ready for something other than the new normal. I'm ready for the old normal. So, all right.
I keep hearing all these, everyone talk about their events like, oh, I want to go to that. I want to go to that. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Genoa. All right. So next we've got the Salem, the Oregon Symphony Association Salem Concert Series. Is Courtney here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Courtney regarding the 2022 concert series?
Did you have any marketing expenses?
I believe so. Did we not put them in the budget?
There's, Laura, I see a $46,000 for the season, correct? That's for the season?
Yes, that's for the season. Yes.
Okay. I don't know why, but I have no marketing expenses written in this box.
Huh.
But wait, you have I have 2022 Salem Concert Series. No, this is for the young people.
For the youth concert.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Do you want to do both at once? I'm sorry, I tend to do double hitters here.
However you like. Was that a question
do you
for
mind
me?
if I ask you about this other grant?
No, go ahead.
Okay, because I just did all these grants at once because I'm kind of that way. But so I looked at, this is a comment for Salem Young People's Concert, and I just I said no marketing expenses. That was my comment.
Right. The Young People's Concert isn't publicly advertised in the traditional way. Like, we're not placing ads in the newspaper. The Oregon Symphony and Salem staff works directly with the schools to reach out to fill the seats, and that there's already more demand actually than we're able to meet in the concert hall. So we haven't had to have additional costs for outside advertising and marketing on top of that, if that makes sense.
And Courtney, do you use Willamette Smith Auditorium or the Elsinore for the, okay, Smith Auditorium, okay.
Yeah, both of these I believe are at Smith, the concert series and the Young People's Concert.
Hey, Courtney, I have a question about that demand issue for the Young People's Concert, which I think you've had this for the last few years where you say teachers have to quickly get on board because it sells out or you fill up. Is there do you give like early access to lower income schools, or do you do anything to help with the diversity of the audience?
For sure, that's a great question. There are a number of schools that so I would say overall in our youth programming, we prioritize Title I schools, and we prioritize schools that have high proportions of low income and students of color. So we intentionally build those relationships and make sure that we're reaching out to those schools proactively to make sure we can get them in time if they're interested in participating. We're also occasionally, depending upon individual donor performance in a given year, we're sometimes able to offer our Title I school partners a transportation subsidy. So that can help them defray any costs of busing their kids into the city if that's necessary.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions for Courtney on either of the applications?
I had a question about the youth concert. So I noticed this is the application, right? Okay, yeah, youth concert. So I noticed the boxes for economic impact and room nights and tax revenue weren't checked. So are you saying that, to the best of your knowledge, there isn't a component to this event that would accomplish either of those, things the TOT board is interested in?
Sure. I didn't feel we could realistically say that we can accomplish that. These are both taking place during the school day. It's essentially the kids are bused into the hall, they participate in the concert, and they're bused back. So there isn't really a component that we could envision where folks would either be staying overnight or making a full day and spending money at other businesses in Salem generally. So this is purely for enhancing the quality of life of the youth in the community.
Just want to clarify. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks.
Thanks for being honest on that and not trying to make sense. So my question's on your other grant application. You talk about having tickets available and a discount for Oregon Trail and for students. What's the utilization for those? How many people at each concert would you say are using those benefits?
Yeah, I know that between around 100 and 120 students are coming to every concert. And I don't actually know the number for the Arts for All off the top of my head, but I could follow up and get back to you on that if you were interested.
Yeah, that would be great. I think we asked about it last year as well. So I just wonder.
Gotcha. Yep, I can follow up on that. No problem.
Awesome. Very good. Any other questions for Courtney?
My one other thing on diversity would be, because I know you guys have been an organization for a long time, is that beyond just offering free tickets, there's other diversity things you guys might consider to widen your audience. I go to many of your events and it's me and a bunch of white-haired older people. So I think you guys know this already, so I'm not bringing new information to you.
Nope, that is the classical music that we're all fighting because we know that we need to do a better job reaching out, and we'd like to get. One thing I am actually excited to share that we didn't know at the time of this application, and this isn't exactly what you asked about, but I think it's related. This coming season, we're going to be able to perform or to schedule on each of our concerts either an artist or a composer or a guest conductor who is either a person of color or a woman or an underrepresented person in classical music in each one of our concerts, which you would not believe how rare that is in the classical music world. So on the programming side, we've actually come a very long way in not just playing Beethoven and Haydn and a bunch of dead white dudes, which is very exciting. But yes, you're right. We are trying to reach out in our marketing, working with firms who are minority owned, who can advertise directly to the communities they serve better than the Oregon Symphony itself, and are always looking to diversify our audience. That is an ongoing challenge and goal for us.
Right. And you're very lucky that in Salem, there's thousands of kids taking classical musical lessons, every day. So that is your younger audience that's there. So
exactly.
I'm glad you're doing efforts like that.
Great, thanks.
And and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I like the magic flute. I mean, hey, but but I might suggest to you that you might look into seeing if you could get the Portland Cello Project to come, or something like that. Like kind of maybe see if you could attract somebody a little kind of, I don't know, want to say fringe element, but I mean, somebody, just to get a different crowd and mix it up a little bit, expand your venue. Because that's sort of kind of the classical music, but also crossing over with a different crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Courtney. And the different performances I've attended with my daughter, she's a cello player. It's moving. I mean, it's powerful stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time. Thanks.
All right. So the next item is the Salem Cheers Seniors, the Rivers of Life Center at the Willamette Queen Sternwheeler. Is Jerry or someone else with the organization on the call?
I didn't see Jerry sign on today, but he knew about the event, and I forwarded the Zoom meeting link to him yesterday.
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody here.
I see someone on the phone. Are they, do they know how to unmute it? Or can you unmute it, Chris, to see if it's,
I will try.
I don't know who it is on the phone.
I wonder if they're on the YouTube and not on the...
Not on the Zoom link.
Yeah. But my question for the record is just that it appears that, again, with their revenue sources versus expenses, they've got about a $10,000 profit built into this event, and just wondering what that money is going to be used for, or what the incentive for that much profit is. So
that was also my question. And I was also curious just what the DEI on this was. I'm just curious about that. Came out to 1660 a head, but I don't know how that figures in. I'm still not sure if I was getting that calculation right. Next time we might want to just fill in that square for people. Mostly because my math's probably flawed.
Right. And I think this one was, I had a hard time figuring out, because they talked about the senior center people, but they also talked about the general public being invited. So I just had logistical questions about that. And then the budget is filled out in a weird way where it appears that TOT's covering all the expenses.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is one, what are our rules on that? Are people allowed to actually add significantly to their application, or is it kind of, we're judging everybody by the applications they turned in?
I would like to know that. And I just think maybe, Chris, next time it would be really helpful for some of that stuff that, like calculations and things like that. If those scores were already pre-filled in these budget tables, that would be super nice. So, you don't have to sit here and calculate all that stuff out, because some of the stuff I wasn't sure if I was using the right numbers off the application. And, it would just help to just standardize the scoring.
Which budget number, which calculation were you asking about?
Just for how much per person, for example. I mean,
how much per person?
Yeah, like you don't know what participant. I don't know. I mean, just stuff like that, and the marketing budget, and just things like that. It would just be easier for us as scorers. Yeah.
It is listed as a project, so it's not a one-time event, but they've got $1,500 as a contribution to an overall marketing program run by Rivers of Life, and it's very hard to follow. So
yeah, I also want to get some more clarification on where those 75 nights of overnight stays were coming from. If it's like just people from
that's a good catch on that one, Ryan.
Because I mean,
this one's got a lot of questions.
There is in a senior center. I mean, I'm assuming they're living there and they're not living elsewhere, unless it's like they're from far away and there's an overnight thing and they're taken back to their original location.
And Ryan, overnight visitor does not necessarily mean that they're staying in a hotel. They could be staying with a friend, in their guest room. So it's not so much they're checking into the Holiday Inn type thing. So
Okay, thanks for clarifying. I just
yeah,
want clarification on that overall.
The overnight
Well-
tour is anything beyond 50 miles.
Yes.
Is the definition we're using for classifying as a overnight tourist.
So regardless if they actually stay overnight, as long as they're 50 miles away, that would count as an overnight tourist.
Correct. Or if they were over 50, or they traveled more than 50 miles, even though they don't stay the night.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, but if they're staying at my house, they're not paying TOT.
right.
Because I'm not charging them TOT. I'll tell you that right now.
You mean you're not running an Airbnb for that one
Come
bedroom?
on, Laura.
I mean, they might have brought me some beer, but they're not paying TOT.
Laura's Lodge, you know.
Hey, Chris, I thought the 50 miles was for the out-of-town tourists, but overnight was actually overnight. Is that not right?
It is actually just for well, outcome number 1 shows overnight tourist goal. So the overnight tourist, by definition, is anyone traveling more than 50 miles.
But see how there's out of town and there's overnight? I thought those were two different things.
Out of town could be Kaiser, could be.
That's what
Dayton.
Okay, that's different than I was thinking. I don't think it's not going to matter in the scheme of things, but good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully Mr. Herman or someone else can follow up regarding our questions and get back to you, Chris. Denise, Salem Art Fair. Any questions for the art fair?
Denise, are you guys a go at this point for July?
Is such a good question. So, you know, in a perfect world, yes, we're going to be able to do a fair in July, right? So I just received a text from Matthew Boulay, who's our interim director, and he just posed a question to me. He and the events director of the art fair were discussing what would be the logistics of moving this to September. And what would the top board think of that? And is that a possibility? So if they decide that, the decision would need to be made fairly soon before they get out materials to applicants. So I guess I have a question for you.
I don't think we're tied, and I might be wrong on this, Chris, tell me, we're not tied to what day you have it. It's whether you have it or not, right?
Right, and if it's as long as it's in the correct fiscal year.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Anytime. So the funding is available from July 1st through June 30th. So if there's a delay or a shift, as long as it falls within that time frame, that's perfectly fine. We do want the board to be at least notified that it's
Right. So that decision, I assume, would be made fairly soon, and we could notify you as soon as that decision was made.
Yeah.
Okay. Because September may be a much better time to have a fair if that would work with artists, you know, what would that look like, their circuit of participating in art fairs and festivals.
Weather's usually pretty good September and October.
Yeah.
Usually is, as long as we're not having a forest fire.
No.
Except for the forest fire, exactly.
Too soon. Too soon.
That only happens in 2020.
I just had not recalled noticing this before, but in the expenditure line, there's a year-round programming expenses of just under $110,000. Has that always been in there?
Yep. This question comes up almost every year. So
okay,
I got an explanation that actually does answer this question. So the Salem Art Fair and Festival is a program of the Salem Art Association. It's one of the multiple programs that the organization runs. And it has a revenue funding stream that helps fund the organization. So yeah, it does keep our facility open as a tourist destination, but you can think of it in terms as any organization that exists solely to put on a fair festival, like the Corvallis Fall Festival. They are an entity in and of themselves that puts on that festival and nothing else. The Art Association actually does this in addition to everything else they do. And this is net revenues generated, and it carries it through as its ability to operate as a tourist destination for the rest of the year.
Very good. That makes sense. And I apologize when I'm probably going to ask it again next year.
That's okay. We'll be prepared then too.
All right. Any other questions for Denise on the art festival?
Good job, Denise.
Yeah, and you know, excellent job on the virtual, and hopefully we never have to be virtual again. So
we're hoping not. We can do it. I mean, we could pivot that way if we need to. But yeah, there's a lot of work.
Yeah,
and not quite as fun.
Yeah. All right. The Riverfront Carousel. I believe Maria's on the call. Or Marie's on the call.
Yes, I am here. I don't know why my camera's not working, but I'm here.
I think you have to allow the video if you go back and because I did the same thing to start video.
Oh, there we go. Oh, there I am.
Perfect. All right.
Get over a little bit.
All right.
Hello, hello.
So I have to admit to the fact that I was going alphabetical and yours is not the next one, and so I didn't do yours. So I'm gonna let the rest of the board ask their questions because I did not. I obviously I'm hoping that next year's Santa experience will be a bigger impact than this year's Santa experience for your organization. But you probably have learned some things this year that you can be doing forward. So
have we ever? I mean, who thought Santa could have been reinvented behind a plexiglass? So just for this year, I'm grateful that that TOT allowed me to make the changes for our COVID Santa, and I would have to say that was probably one of our better Santa events because they were private events. Or private reservations to see Santa. The comments that we had on Facebook was just unreal. And they want to continue with having the private reservations for this year for Santa. So we're thinking we're probably going to do a combination of both. Our Zoom calls were a huge hit. We had them on the 23rd and the 24th of December. And then we also had recorded Santa Zoom calls. And you guys, I hope some of you saw some of the pictures that we had posted on Facebook in the comments. And it was absolutely wonderful. And our first customer in line came from Vancouver, Washington.
Wow.
She says they come every year. And so they weren't going to miss out this year because of COVID. And we had a new Santa this year and he played the mandolin. So the children loved being able to sing with Santa. The parents loved it. And that was probably one of the number one compliments that we had was that their children were able to sing with Santa. They talked about it up until Christmas, being able to sing with Santa. So this year in the Santa at the Carousel, I planned it the way we typically would plan it, but we probably will add, I didn't add Zoom calls on this one because I wasn't even sure how the Zoom calls were going to work out for this year, but we will be doing Zoom calls. We'll be doing a little bit of both, doing Zoom calls, private reservations, and then just the full on, line them up, out the door to see Santa.
Very cool.
It was great. It really was.
I love hearing how you learned so much that you can use in the future. So
oh my gosh, you guys, it was, if I could do it that way all the time for a holiday, it'd be great. But then again, a lot of people, families missed out because they weren't able to make their reservation, or when we canceled the reservation, oh man, they were gone like within minutes when they were reposted, for that date or time. It was wonderful.
So Maria, a question I had, in the budget, it looks like your expenses exceed your revenues. Did you mean to, or maybe I'm not reading it right? So if you take the—
It was a balance, let's see. Revenue 40, 480, I think the expenses were the same.
It looks like the proposed revenue is 35.5 and the expenses proposed is just under 40.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the real dollars, not the in-kind.
Oh, the real dollars. Let's see.
Yeah, so you have your real dollars at 35,480.
And then real dollars
and your in-kind that you have in expenses is only $759. It should be matching that 5,000.
I think you need to charge more for photos.
Oh,
right,
well, you know what? We are, because we bought a new printer this year, because we calculated we spend as much in ink and the cartridges with the photo paper. And so we just went out and our photographer had suggested this new printer, where our old printer, I don't know, maybe it took a minute or so to print, because it would, for each color, the picture would slide back in. And this one prints in 12 seconds. Wow. And we can actually create photo packages. So we're looking at hopefully being able to do that for this year.
Good. Well, I just hope, I'm just looking at the column that says proposed, the one right in the middle. And
yes, I see. We are.
39. Yeah. So just, and I'm sure it sounds like you're already thinking of other revenue sources.
Oh, yes. Yes. Like I said, I didn't include any Zoom because at the time I wasn't thinking about Santa Zoom calls, not knowing how well they would go over from this year. And, we were charging only $25 when other Santas were charging $50 for like 3 minutes. And so we're definitely, which I can add that on, we're definitely going to do a lot more Zoom calls.
And another idea I have, because a couple of my friends said this, is depending on the way the dates work out, they said, oh, I wish there were some Christmas things to do the days after Christmas, because a lot of people, that's when their vacation is, or that's when they have time, and the days leading up to Christmas are so busy that it might be nice to have something,
might be between Christmas and New Year's.
Right. And especially, I think it was this year, the way the weekend worked out.
Yes, that if we would have been open, we could even open to give free rides on Christmas Day, because we couldn't figure out how to do that social distancing on the carousel property without having a long line all the way out the door.
All right. Well, very good, Marie. Thank you. And excellent job being creative. So,
well, when I turn in the report, you'll see all the pictures, and it was fabulous.
Awesome. All right. So if I'm correct, Chris, we're going to finish off with Michelle at the Heritage Rail Day. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is correct. Good memory.
All right. And I did not see Michelle's name, but I'm sure she's on there someplace. I didn't. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, I'm here.
Good. So any questions? Now, this is your second or third time applying for this, so you've got it down,
Second.
right? So,
second time, yep. We were supposed to do it in September, but yeah.
Any questions for Michelle regarding the event? And this is just I don't have any questions regarding the event, because I think I think we were obviously very in favor of it last time when we were reviewing the applications, but I didn't see the mill lights, or you just doing the one event this year?
No, we're doing Magic at the Mill in December.
Okay,
but we're just
not going to be looking at TOT revenue for it?
Correct, right,
okay.
not this year.
Okay.
And Michelle, is Sheep to Shawl not happening?
I don't know yet. I mean, that's May. It's the second Saturday of May, and I'm feeling like it probably won't. We have a staff meeting this week where we're going to decide, but I have a feeling it won't. It's really hard to know, we could plan, but yeah, I'm thinking no, not this year again. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited about the trains, though.
Yes.
I know. I am too. We're getting there.
Well, I know that the different years that I've attended the mill, the Magic at the Mill, you've got the whoever sets up those trains in the
Yeah.
one house, it's pretty, it brings back very fond memories of when I was a kid and we had the Lionel train, so
Yeah.
bigger gauge than what they have there, but still pretty cool, to have your imagination going. So, any questions for Michelle?
I guess that's the advantage of being a W, right?
Yes.
I'm at the end.
Did you make any adjustments to your budget from last year? Did you have to revise anything at all?
Not really.
Okay.
It's about the same.
All right. Well, I don't hear any of the questions. So thank you very much for all of the applicants that attended tonight and listened and responded to our questions. We appreciate that. We definitely, obviously, as a board, want to make great decisions with the TOT revenue and make sure that we're helping showcase Salem in all the best lights that we possibly can. So and then in February, we'll be doing the other half of the application. So if we can be starting our review, if you haven't already completed all of them, that would be outstanding. So Chris, do we need to take any action since we're not reviewing all of them at this point on the applications?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
The action was just reviewing and going through them.
All right, very good. So if we can move to information items then, please.
Yeah. So really the only informational items is an update on how we are through 6 months of the year for funding and what the fund looks like. So because of the reductions that have taken place, we're paying out just barely above what we've taken in so far. Out of TOT collections. TOT collections have come in through December at 1.2 million and compared to last year at 2 million. So it's about a 39% reduction from July to December. And we've made reductions in our expenditures. I've got a question out, trying to figure out what's happening with our conference center marketing. I know that they're in the middle of, or had been going through a contract renewal. But as of right now, I don't show any expenditures so far this year. So once I get some information on that, I'll know more what's going on. But that's probably the biggest piece is on that, aside from the reduction in just the overall TOT taxes, money going to tourism promotion for Travel Salem. Other than that, on a monthly basis for the month, the activity that we received, this is tax collections that were for November activities paid in December. Came in at 186,000 versus 283,000 last year in 2019. So that's about a 34% reduction. Overall, like I said, we're looking at a 39% reduction overall. That's where we're at on that. Swing back up to the top to the agenda. There were no other facility reports or event reports or capital improvements, and you saw the annual report from Travel Salem.
All right. Thank you for the painful news. And so if we can move to appearance of interested citizens, and Chris, you got to juggle it. Sorry, buddy. So if we can make sure everybody that wants to talk gets an opportunity, please limit to 3 minutes. And thank you again for attending this Zoom meeting.
All right. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just kind of go down my list of names. I have somebody on the telephone. I'm not sure who that is. Is that Yvonne?
It's Ross from Bush House Museum.
Ah, it's Ross. Well, Ross, we'll let you go.
Pardon?
We'll let you go first.
Oh, thank you. Well, the Bush House Museum is continuing to work on its virtual field trip program, and we just received a MCDC grant for a cell phone tour of the exterior of the house, which will allow people to learn about the inside of the house, but they won't have to go in to do it. And then also some of the grounds. So we were trying to figure out a way to get people to see the property without having to be inside. And it's also something they can do 24/7. So we're working on that and working with reinterpreting the museum to include the servants and Sally and increase its diversity. So those are some of the things we're working on right now.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I have in my windows here, I see we have Matthew Boulay from Salem Art Association, who's the new interim representative. So we'll let Salem Art Association.
Thanks, Chris. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I've been on the board for about 1.5 years. I'm also an artist, so I've shown at Salem Art Association a couple of times. And as everyone knows, Sandra retired, well-deserved break for her at the end of December. And our search process for new executive director is underway. Next week, we begin first round interviews. You know, the process is moving forward, and in the interim, I'll serve. I have nonprofit management experience. I've run other similar organizations for a number of years. So happy to be in this position. Happy to sit in on this meeting tonight. Thank you all. It was good to see you in action.
Good, thank you. I know that Denise Maggie is still on the line, I believe. Does she have anything to add? We'll finish up with SA.
Sure, I'll just add with a save the date for the clay ball, virtual clay ball, which is coming up in February. We're going to do a live streaming program with a live auction on Saturday, the 20th at 6:30. We're also doing a silent auction bid opening on Wednesday, February 7th. That will run until that Saturday. It's going to be a really fun event. This year's theme is Through the Looking Glass. Kind of appropriate since we're all kind of doing that these days, but it'll be a fun take on the adventures of Wonderland. So there'll be some fun things to do. There'll be wine tasting. There'll be Zoom cocktail rooms, musical performances, just a lot of fun activities going on throughout the evening. So save the date and tune in, share the news.
Cool, thank you. Next we'll have Sally from the Elsinore.
Okay, hello everyone. We have our Elsinore wine fundraiser. The wine is back in stock at Roth's as of this afternoon. We had a partnership with Willamette Valley Vineyards and Roth's that has worked out really well for us at the Elsinore. We're expecting a check a little bit over $16,000 for December sales as a donation from Roth's. And we are, there was more demand than there was supply in December. So Roth's has had a list that they're calling on their customers. And we are really happy to have this partnership and the support of those other two organizations. So the wine is on sale now for $29.99 a bottle with the Mattingly mural image on it. And it's been very well received.
Hey, Sally, have you been getting any traction with your renting of your lobby or facility for families or private parties?
We have not really had many calls since Governor kind of shut everything down, but hopefully when things loosen up, we will start to get calls again.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Yvonne from Peoplehood.
Hi, everybody. Great to see you. We are coming off of a very busy December. We did a lot of initiatives virtually, from storytelling to tours, looking at the home in past years over the holidays, a tea on the history of traditions related to the Victorian era and the holiday season. So it was a really great experience pulling all that together, and something that we learned a lot from and will be able to use in future years to help pull people to come in person by seeing some of what was available. One of the things that we added this year was we did a well, most of it was new, but as far as a content edition, was doing our tour in Spanish as well. So we were excited to do that. We are also working on virtual programming related to some educational resources and tours for schools right now, and we'll be launching into that in February and March, because we're continuing to look at how we go through this for the long haul and what we can do as far as moving into using programming for years to come. We are looking at, as far as our rentals, last month at the meeting, I had some questions about, oh, your numbers are looking very optimistic about rentals. And well, reality has hit a little bit more. We are seeing, because of things being pushed out more and more as far as openings and so forth, we're starting to hear more from people wanting to move things that we had hoped to see in May and June into the fall. People are much less inclined to book than they typically would be at this time, looking at those May and June weddings. So we're going to see more things moving out of our fiscal year that ends in June and continuing into the next fiscal year. But we are not giving up. We are continuing to work on selling the property to people and the benefits of it, and how we can be a safe venue in months to come, whether that's in the summer months, early summer months, or late summer months. We are also continuing to work with the Multicultural Institute on a exhibit, and I'll let Kathleen talk a little bit more about that, but we're very excited to be partnering with them on a coffee and tea exhibit. But I'll let her talk to you about the hours and so forth that we're open. But I think anytime we can work together as cultural and heritage organizations, it's really an exciting partnership, and something that shows our community that we are all trying to support each other at this time. So thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on my list, I have Carly Wright from Press Play.
Hello, everyone. I don't have much from Press Play today, but I do have a little bit of news from the Kaylee Society, who's putting on a virtual concert. I'm trying to get the date up, but I'm also texting with Kathleen because she's not on the call right now. So I'm going to do a little plug for the exhibit. I think they're open. You know what? I would suggest calling the Salem Multicultural Institute to find out the hours the gallery is open, but they are open. They are accepting visitors. And then they're also going to be putting some information online for that. But the Kaylee's concert is in celebration of Robert Burns. So anyone with a little Scottish or who enjoys Scottish poetry or the Bard. It's a virtual concert with Peter Daldry, who is a native of Scotland. He's a great folk musician, and it's January 23rd at 7 p.m. and it's free and donations are accepted. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Carly.
Next on my list here, I've got Courtney from the Oregon Symphony Association. happening there? Courtney may have stepped away from her phone. Let's move along. Next one I have is Genoa Ingram from Oregon State Capitol. Anything happening at the state capitol?
Hi. So as you are aware, the Capitol is closed down right now to the public. We have continued to have meetings with legislative administration staff, but those are done via Zoom. The legislature did go into session yesterday, and I spent yesterday reading about 2,000 pieces of legislation. So business is continuing. It's just legislators are in the building. Much of the staff is working virtually. So stay tuned.
Great, thank you. And next on my list is Irene Bernards from Travel Salem. Anything to share?
Nothing that already hasn't been shared. Thank you.
Great. Short and sweet. Joanne Fields from Football Club. Anything to share?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next on the list is Cara. Travel Salem.
Oh, nope, we're good. We shared plenty
All right.
earlier, so thank you.
All right. Martin Green from Make Music Salem.
Just one thing, we had a little problem with our budget, so I just wanted to make sure, Chris, I'll follow up with you and get that information to you after this meeting.
Sure, sounds good. Let's see. Is there anyone that I missed?
Chris, this is Yvonne, and I wasn't missed, but since Kathleen's not on, I can clarify that the exhibit at the gallery is Tuesdays through Fridays, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the World Beat Gallery, and Saturdays by appointment.
Cool, thank you. All right. I believe we've covered everyone.
Awesome. So thank you for all the interested citizens participating today or tonight rather. Any other business or parking lot items from the board? All right, so I would encourage everybody to be taking what you heard tonight, what you already had for your observations from the applications you reviewed, to start entering those numbers into your scoring sheets so that it's as consistent for your review as possible. And then our next meeting is February, what day? Is it the 8th?
It's the 9th, I'm thinking.
8th. Okay, 2/9.
Yeah, February 9th.
Okay. All right, fantastic.
And don't forget to record any on your scores, any
comments,
improvement comments, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And please keep Rita in your thoughts and prayers. The reason she's not here tonight, she had some really traumatic news regarding a family member. So we definitely want to keep her in our prayers. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody virtually again